In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Salute the flag, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armand Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milonazo.
Here.
Councilor Ramirez.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Donahue.
Here.
Thank you. I would request that the council rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers for Mrs. Mary Sheehan, a former long-term employee of the clerk's office for 17 years. Mary was the sister-in-law of former city clerk Bill Busby, as well as the mother of Mary Sheehan, a present employee in the school department. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to include Joseph Primo, a loving and devoted husband, father, grandfather. Mr. Primo served this country with pride and distinction in the United States Navy. Mr. Primo was a parishioner of St. Patrick's Church and a long-standing member of the Irish Cultural Committee. May you rest in peace.
We have for approval the minutes of the May 16th meeting. Motion to approve by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Under the city manager's portion of the agenda, we have 4 votes for revolving funds, 2 in the police department, 1 in the parking department, and I think the 4th is the DPW. Any objection to taking these all together?
No.
Okay. A vote authorizing the continuation during fiscal year 2007 a revolving fund in the Department of Public Works in connection with the program for funds received and related to expenses to the closing and cover of the City of Lowell landfill. Motion to waive the full reading of these 4 items by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick, second reading by title. Vote authorizing the continuation during fiscal year 2007 of the revolving fund in the Department of Public Works, as well as 2 revolving funds in the police department, 1 revolving fund in the parking department, in connection with program for funds received and related to expenses pertaining to those departments. Any questions? Roll call. Oh, it's Councilor Milonazo, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. On the revolving fund for the Department of Parking, it just seems to be such a greater number than the other 3 departments, where it's $2 million versus about $15,000 for the other departments. Is there a reason that it's that high?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, councilors, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Council, I think the biggest reason is because we just raised the rates, several years ago, obviously to begin to pay down the new bond for the new garage. So clearly, that would mean that would make up for that big surplus there.
Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. It's not related to these, but I didn't see any other transfers on. But Mr. Manager, in light of all the overtime that's being paid, I know last week at the Public Safety Subcommittee meeting, the chief indicated that he would need a transfer for other overtime. Is that forthcoming, or I'm just wondering how? I thought he indicated that his overtime account was low and he wasn't going to be able to make that payroll this week. So I don't know if something changed, or if we're looking at the Law Enforcement Trust Fund, or
yeah, as far as flood-related overtime, and that's not your question. Flood-related overtime, which is over $200,000 now, I think. Met with all unions, and I've met with all department heads. Unions have agreed to, not forever, but to be patient with us on that. We're clearly hoping for federal assistance and hopefully maybe state assistance, which hopefully will pay for that. We obviously don't have that type of money in any accounts at the end of this fiscal year. So the unions have been, once again, been fabulous, and and are working with us and are being patient with that. As far as the police transfer goes, last week I requested information pertaining to the trust fund and how much money was spent this year in drug-related overtime. I received something from the police department today. It must be an error because it said that in fiscal year '06 we only spent $3,000 in drug-related overtime. So I'm waiting for an explanation for that. The law department contacted the chief late today, I think, but I received that today. So as soon as we get that figured out, clearly we want to use that trust fund if we can. There is some money in it, and it seems like $3,000 for the whole year was very low in drug-related overtime. So we're just waiting for that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Donahue?
I guess my question, though, Mr. Manager, is that the request was for $50,000. I mean, 3 weeks ago, we transferred $92,000 to the fire department. Some of the requests that we were given, the request was made in April and then again in May from the police department, was for fuel and energy and things like that, gas and all that. So that would have nothing to do with the law enforcement trust fund. But the amount in the fund was something like $20,000, and there's like a $50,000 request. So are we holding up the whole $50,000 for the 20?
Well, I'm trying to get an idea as to what we can use the trust fund for.
No, I know, but I'm saying if there's only 20,000 there, let's assume we can use all 20, which would be great.
Well, that's what I'm hoping for,
Right.
clearly.
Shouldn't we be, because this is within line
I
item
understand that.
transfers.
But once the transfer is made into overtime, then I think it's more difficult. Then we're back to that supplanting issue, which I don't want to get into. That's why I want this all cleared up before I make the transfer.
Well, it would only apply to 20,000, because there's only 20,000 there
Where?
in the law enforcement trust fund.
I don't have those figures.
Well, you got them last week,
I
because
thought
we
I had
got,
20 and 20. I think it was 40 from what I saw last week.
no, we were
Well,
told it was
that's
20.
that's what I was given. And that's what I said to last week at the council meeting. I thought there was 19 in one and 19 in another. It turned out there was 19 in one and 15 in the other. And so we're trying to get a handle on it. Once we do, we will make the transfer, clearly.
I guess the question is why there's so much delay. And I mean, obviously if it can be used, you use it, but if there's 30,000 you got to transfer anyway. I mean, for instance, the energy costs and things like that have nothing to do with that. So
I'm just trying to make it easier to do one transfer. That's all I'm trying to do. We asked the police for the information. I didn't get it till this afternoon. I thought it didn't look right. The law department requested more information from the police. As soon as I have it, I'll bring it in. I understand it's all within their budget. I have no problem with it. I'm just trying to make better use of the trust fund if we can. Very simple.
I know, and we've talked about that for weeks now, and that's...
And I haven't received the right information.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
but the request was made in April.
I don't believe it was made in April.
That's what we were told. Anyway,
Well,
can we get a full report on this?
Yeah,
Because,
and hopefully we'll have
the
a-
one thing we want to make sure is if people are owed overtime, they get paid,
Counselor, I understand.
regardless of what department
No
they
one
work
has ever
for.
been paid overtime, has not been paid overtime. I'm clear on that. I'm just trying to use the best use of that trust fund. That's all.
Absolutely. But if there's only 20,000 available, then it just doesn't make any sense to hold up the whole thing for 2 months.
Last week, the number was 35,000, so.
Well, we asked for that accounting last week. We don't have it. I mean, there was a motion made at the subcommittee to get that information. We don't have it. So, can we have it for next week?
Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you. I think we debated this issue for years. And personally, I would rather use money confiscated from drug deals and drug raids and so forth than use the taxpayers' money. And I would rather use every dime of it if we could. That's my feeling on it.
Roll call?
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next item is appointments to the Board of Health. Dear Mayor Martin and members of the City Council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as City Manager under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 111, Section 26, as amended by Chapter 60 of the Acts of 1997, I have reappointed the following persons to the Board of Health: Joanne Keegan, RN MSN 67 Rayner Street, Lowell; Robert Mondu, MD PC 35 Barrisford Ave; Dr. John Donovan, 21 Barrisford Ave; Michael Lenzi, 92 Hollywood Ave. The members are to serve a 3-year term expiring May 23, 2009, until their successor is appointed. Under the above statute, confirmation by the City Council is required for these appointments and is hereby requested. Any
Move for
questions? Motion to approve by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Ramirez. Roll call.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next matter is a vote declaring surplus the property at 718 Bridge Street, Lowell, Mass., authorizing the city manager to seek proposals for the disposition thereof under the yard sale program adopted by the City Council on June 9th, 1998. So motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote declaring surplus the property at 718 Bridge Street, Lowell, and authorizing the city manager to seek proposals for the disposition thereof under the yard sale program adopted by the City Council on June 9, 1998. Any questions? Roll call.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
9 yeas.
The next item is an order pursuant to Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 13-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days, whereas the City of Lowell desires to make temporary rules regulating traffic under actual conditions for a period of 60 days, and whereas Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances, Section 13-6, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations, authorizes the council to make temporary rules for a period not to exceed 60 days. Now therefore be it ordered, adjudged, and decreed by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: effective upon passage and continuing for a period of 60 days. Thereafter, the following traffic regulations are hereby implemented: Auburn Street for 400 Gorham Street, parking for a handicapped person; parking for a handicapped person, Harrison Street, number 38; parking for a handicapped person on Crowley Street, number 21; and parking Worthen Street for a handicapped person, number 228. Second reading by title, an order pursuant to Chapter 13 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Lowell, Massachusetts, concerning Section 13-6 thereof, entitled Temporary Experimental Regulations. Temporary traffic regulations are hereby implemented for a period of 60 days. Any questions? Motion to approve by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia. Roll call.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
Councilor Ramirez?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
9 yeas.
Next matter is a vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to enter into a lease agreement with David Frawley, trustee of Frawley Realty Trust of 685 Lawrence Street, Lowell, Mass., for property located at 685 Lawrence Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Ramirez, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. The second reading by title, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to enter into a lease agreement with David Frawley, trustee of Frawley Realty Trust, 685 Lawrence Street, Lowell, Mass., for property at 685 Lawrence Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. Councilor Donahue.
With regard to this and the next vote, does it make sense to keep entering into these leases? I mean, I guess I would make a motion to refer the leases to the Public Safety Subcommittee to review, again, the necessity, the use of the facilities and so forth. I mean, where we're in tight budget times, where's the money coming from? I know one of them's $18,000 a year. You know, the other one is, again, $18,000 a year. You know, it may be that, you know, these are needed, they're cost efficient, they're paid for out of whatever funds, but I think we should take a look at this again to review the effectiveness of it. So, is there any?
Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to be clear, these are the community policing stations. And these are stations I think we've had and had in use for some time. It seems like it's worked very well. The recommendation from the police department.
No, I understand that. It's just that all we're hearing is tight budget times. Does it make sense to keep entering into, I think we should just take another look at it. We've had these probably for 10 years anyway, some of these leases. Should we look at them again and see? I mean, it could be that the neighborhood's going to say they're used, and I'm not picking on these two sites, but you get calls all the time. They're not even used. No one's there. So, I mean, when does this current lease expire that we have with them? Have we expired? Okay. I
think this is a new location, the first one.
The Middlesex Road?
It's a relocated station, the first one.
Okay. Well, I make the motion to send it to Public Safety Subcommittee to review these particular leases and the need for these precincts.
Motion to refer the matter to Public Safety Subcommittee by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Ramirez. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, should this pass, I presume that it will, but could you let us know how many we do have and how many? Do we pay for all of them? For instance, I was coming down Broadway tonight and I noticed there was a sign in one of the storefronts, Acre Police Precinct. Is that something that we pay for?
Yes.
And we pay for all of them? There's one downtown and...
Yeah, these are the community policing stations that everybody has said have worked so well throughout the city. We need to pay rent clearly because people aren't giving us the space for free, but clearly they seem to have worked and they seem to have been effective.
Mr. Mayor, the solicitor seems to...
Madam Solicitor.
The contracts will be expiring the end of June. So there's some time, and these have gone out through public bidding.
Okay. If we can just get that list and how much we do spend on all of them. And some of them may make sense, and maybe some of them, for instance, one of them, the relocation, maybe they're not as effective, or it might be good to find out how many personnel it requires to man these stations. I remember one of the, major premise was that we get volunteers to staff them, and that seems to have dwindled. So maybe there's not a need, or maybe there is, and people just have a lot to do. But
I think most of them are manned by volunteers, and as I said, it's been a very, very, very effective program, I think.
okay, thank you.
Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. The police precinct on Bridge Street in Centerville was the very first police precinct that this city had started. Very, very, very successful. And if that precinct is taken out of there, I wouldn't want to answer to the Centerville people, believe me.
Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just about a few weeks ago, we met at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium. We had volunteer recognition night, and Sharon Callery from the police department was there, giving out awards to like 100 people that manned the different substations in different sections of the city. I think it's a crucial time where crime is at a minimum to some degree, and I know that we want to find ways and means to save money. I'm not interested one bit to take our substations and play checkers that we need one in Centerville, but maybe not in back Central Street. I'm not supporting moving it anywhere but where it is. I know it's an expense, but if it has a bite on crime and it's a safety net in the neighborhoods, I'm for keeping it there. I know there's a cost factor. We want to have the best person possible for the highest cost, but when it comes to public safety, I don't think we should skimp on it. I think we need a presence of a public safety feature in certain neighborhoods, and I think Back Central is a neighborhood where we definitely need it. I don't mind that it's going to a subcommittee, but I hope you do it in a timely fashion and bring it back to us so that we can vote and get things in order.
Thank you. Councilor Milanazzo, then Councilor Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just quickly, I too support the subcommittees remaining in place. I hope that the Public Safety Subcommittee will look at this quickly and report back to the full council. I have a question on the one on Lawrence Street with Frawley Realty Trust. Since this is a new location, who's going to be responsible for the fit-up? Is that something that the landlord will do, or is it something that we would have to contribute to?
If you give me 1 second, I don't think that, that the fit-out is going to be, I mean, I think all the costs are there.
Okay.
And so that the fit-out would be included in, once we take
Possession.
possession of the
Okay.
premises. But
Okay.
I'll double check that right
Okay.
now.
Counselor
you.
Donahue?
Thank you. I don't think people should be pushing the panic button that anyone's trying to get rid of precincts. All I'm saying is, let's look at it. I mean, I'm not worried about spending an hour or so trying to look at this again after 10 years. My concern is that we're hearing nothing but doom and gloom about the next budget, and if we're talking about cutting positions, you know, and I get a call from someone saying, no one's ever in that station, it's empty all the time, but you've taken police officers off the street. I just want to put everything in perspective. Let's put all the pieces on the table. So trust me, we'll look at this expeditiously, bring it back, and the council will decide what it wants to do. I have been a big supporter of community policing from the beginning. I am concerned about re-upping leases. I just want to hear what are the criteria, what is the need, what's the need on this move, and take it from there. Just more information, not less.
Thank you. Counselor Armin Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to City Manager, would the cost of this be in the police department's budget?
I believe it is, Council. It looks like it's $18,000 a year.
So that is in the police department's budget?
I believe that's right.
Are they done with their budget in terms of submitting it to you?
As far as this is concerned, I believe that would be something that would be covered already, yeah.
Okay, so as far as the police department, this item in their budget is something that they agree with?
I can't say specifically, because I don't remember talking about this specifically, but clearly...
But that is in the policeman's budget, police department's budget?
I believe, I don't know where else it would come from, so I believe that it would be in the police department budget, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Donahue?
Mr. Mayor, let me just make the point. Make no mistake, if we approve a 3-year lease, we can't cut it at budget time. So it's in there for 3 years. That's my only concern. I just want to see the whole package together, because it may be that then you have to make other cuts, or other cuts are made. But if we approve 3 years tonight, I just want the information to see how does it fit in the overall scheme, that's all.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion to refer this matter to the Public Safety Subcommittee, say aye. Any opposed? This item, and I believe the motion was to also refer the next item to the Public Safety Subcommittee as well. So those two leases are referred to the Public Safety Subcommittee for report and recommendation. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion is adopted. Next item is an order designating the intersection of South Walker Street and Shaw Street in the city of Lowell Malloy Brothers Memorial in honor of Paul and Dominic Malloy, whereas the city is desirous of honoring Paul and Dominic Malloy. Now therefore it is ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell that the intersection of South Walker Street and Shaw Street in the city of Lowell is hereby designated Malloy Brothers Memorial in honor of Paul and Dominic Malloy. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Paul and Dominic Malloy served their country with pride and distinction. Paul served his country in the United States Navy, and Dominic in the United States Army, and the family is extremely honored by the council's support of this motion. Thank you.
Motion to adopt the order by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Roll call.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Armin Mercier? Yes. Counselor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
Counselor Ramirez?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
9 yes.
Subcommittee reports. Any subcommittee reports? Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is not actually a subcommittee report, but it's a report of progress from a request that we probably all received from the Greater Lowell Interfaith Leadership Alliance, GLELA, they call it, and they set up a meeting with each of us, my colleagues. I don't know how many of my colleagues went, but I did attend along with City Councilor Jim Milonazo. We met one particular day with 17 members, and they had a concern about to invite dialogue with the members of the City Council regarding the prayer that introduces each city council meeting to see if there are ways in which that prayer can reflect Lowell's richness of cultural and religious diversity. And when I met with them, and I have before me the minutes of that meeting where Councilor Milanazzo and myself attended. I don't know who else. Oh, okay, and we all have those minutes. And the 17 members that met, quite a few of them spoke and made their suggestion known that the prayer should not, the different prayers represent the diversity of our city. And having said that and listened to everyone speak, I offered my opinion and my concern about the Lord's Prayer, that I was not willing to take the Lord's Prayer away from this meeting, that I firmly believe that this is my belief, and I highly regard this prayer. And they respected that. So they were asking if perhaps we could set up a subcommittee. Councilor Milanazzo recommended that we prepare a proposal to be presented to the City Council via the Rules Subcommittee. This proposal will be finalized at our June 1st meeting. The reason that we're talking about this is because they want to add input. I think what they want to do is add a little bit of each ethnic diverse prayer at a City Council meeting, so they would not be willing to take the Our Father out, but to add one week somebody's prayer, another week somebody else's prayer. I told them that it strictly was not up to me, that it was up to this body, that it was up to the mayor, that there were many people that had a say in this. It's not what I believe or what I say. So I'd like to refer this report of progress to the Rules Subcommittee and see if we could talk about this. Not that I'm deleting anything from the way we do things right now, but I don't see the harm in adding each week somebody else's whatever it is, and then I don't think we'll be here any more than 3 extra more minutes, but this is the report of progress at that particular meeting. If Councilor Milanazzo has anything else to add to it. I thought it was quite unique. I know that we have many flag-raising ceremonies. We raise the flag of our United States along with that of whatever country we're doing a flag raising for. They say their prayers, they sing their songs, and we sing ours as well. And it's an effort of unity, and I don't see any harm with just adding another 2 minutes to this agenda to allow different ethnic groups to share each week with their beliefs.
Councilor Milanazzo.
The only point that I would make is that, first of all, it was a fascinating meeting, and I applaud the members of the Greater Lowell Interfaith Leadership Alliance for getting together and inviting members of the City Council to the meeting on May 11th. The meeting that Councilor Rita Mercier referred to on June 1st is actually their meeting, getting back together again as a group to come up with a proposal to bring back to the City Council, and then that would actually, in my opinion, go to the Rules Subcommittee for discussion, and then come back to the full council. And as Councilor Rita Mercier indicated, if they're looking for us to add, 1 or 2 minutes to our meeting, and maybe not even every meeting, maybe we would do it on a monthly basis, depending upon what the Rules Subcommittee would recommend. But again, just being cognizant of the rich, again, cultural and religious diversity that we do have in the community. So, again, we will report back after we get the information from the Alliance after their June 1st meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone? Councilor Caulfield?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's not pertaining to this motion. I just want to give a report myself.
On this,
Okay, well,
on this motion, I have a question.
okay. Councilor Armin Mercier?
Yeah, I wasn't at that meeting, but I understand that Sister Pauline LeBlanc gave the opening prayer. Was that the Our Father?
No,
Anybody know
it
what that
wasn't.
opening prayer was?
It was not at the meeting that we attended?
Yes.
No, it wasn't the Our Father.
Which prayer was it?
It was a neutral prayer.
A neutral? I love the Our Father. I don't want to learn
I'm
some more.
not taking the Our Father away. I told her I
Okay.
would not do that.
I just was curious as to what the opening prayer was.
Councilor Donahue?
Thank you. So are we waiting until they come back with a proposal? Because I think it should go to the law department before it goes to the rules. We got to know what they're asking us to
Well,
do. Don't you
Problem with
think?
the law
I mean-
department, they may rule the Our Father illegal.
Well,
I
actually,
don't
the
wanna
Our
send
Father,
it
I
there.
believe, is used by the United States Senate. I
Right.
think that's a traditional opening for the U.S. Senate and has been since the inception.
Right,
And so,
right.
and I think this body has followed that protocol. And I think it's also been upheld by the Supreme Court that the United States Senate can use the Our Father. However, once you start going down a path for this or that, or, then you might be getting into tricky territory. So I think we have to know exactly what it is they're asking us to do, and then look at it. I mean, it's a great idea, I think, but at least I know this was raised some years ago by the whoever they are. But anyway, they there were people. The ACLU was challenging at one point via a letter saying you can't use the Our Father. Well, in fact, you can use the Our Father, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that has withstood the test of the United States Supreme Court. So, we're and I think everybody is fond of that opening, but once you start going down another path. So I just think we have to know specifically what they want us to do, and I'm comfortable with what we do. So
So
that's
am
all.
I. So am I.
Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I did make that meeting, but I did call one of the priests and indicated I couldn't make that meeting, and I gave him my feelings. And during the Tassipoulias mayor term, we had different clergies come to the council and offer prayers, and some of that clergy was not Christian. And I don't have a problem if someone wants to give a prayer, but we should still also include the Lord's Prayer
That's right.
in our delivery. But I don't think we should shut the door on anyone. I think if they want to come and give us a blessing, that's fine, but we can follow it up with our Lord's Prayer.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And that's exactly what's going to happen. They're having another meeting June 1st to set up a proposal to deliver it to us. And I'm just simply asking that we look at this proposal. I don't know what it is yet. I did tell him my feelings, and I said, I will not delete the Our Father. I will not change it, but I welcome yours to add it with ours. So by June 1st, we'll know what their proposal is, and I would suggest we send it to the Rules Subcommittee and have the Law Department there with us. If it's rejected, fine, but I'm not
Right.
blocking my ears to it.
So there's, we're going to have something on June 1st that
Yes.
we can share with
Yes,
both
we
the Law
will.
Department? Okay.
Somewhere around there.
All right, so I don't know that any formal action needs to be taken tonight.
No, it's a report
Okay.
of progress.
Okay. Anything further on this
Yes.
item? Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's not a report, but, oh, wait till that goes by. The Neighborhood Traffic Subcommittee had planned on meeting with the School Committee, Subcommittee on Safety, on May 15th, but that meeting was canceled because the speaker that was going to address us could not make it. So the meeting has been rescheduled for Monday, June 12th, and a PowerPoint presentation by the Boston School Coordinator for the federally funded program Safe Routes to School. It's a very important meeting, Mr. Mayor, and it could be some federal dollars in there to make the routes safer for our children.
Time, what time?
7 o'clock. You got that, Mr. Clerk?
7 p.m.
Yes.
here?
No, it will be held at the Lowell School Department. I'm sorry, conference room.
Okay. Okay, hearing no further subcommittee reports, I did want to report to the council that I appointed a new subcommittee on health issues. Councilor Milanazzo is chair, members Councilor Rita Mercia and Councilor George Ramirez, to address health issues as they arise from time to time. Councilor Rita Mercia had brought the issue of the bird flu to the council a few weeks ago. We have both hospitals here in Lowell now collaborating on a public health initiative. We may have some public health issues that arise out of this recent flood and other health issues that may come up from time to time. So as issues are referred to that subcommittee, I thought it was important to have it in place. And so that is formed, and there should be a memo to that effect on all your desks this evening. We have, under petitions, there is a petition from Attorney Monahan, again, a request to delay this matter, I think until the June 13th meeting. There was a report requested by the council at last meeting that is on our desk this evening. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. We did get the report, and after looking at the report, it just seems that it doesn't belong in front of the council. I mean, I would make a motion that it be referred to the manager and to the law department. You know, it's clearly, we got the report we asked for. There's, you know, I think it's out of order for the council to entertain the petition. And I don't know why I would drag someone up here when it should be referred back to the law department. If there's some potential resolution or settlement, that under Plan E doesn't come to the council. So I would make the motion that we refer this. It obviously was at the manager law department level. I would make a motion that we refer this petition back there.
Second.
Motion to refer the matter back to the manager and law department by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I assume that part of that would be to address the issue of whether they can break this judgment down between the compensatory and punitive damages as to a potential settlement and the city participate. Obviously, they're looking for payment of the judgment. It's my understanding there's compensatory and punitive. City is not allowed to pay any punitive damages, correct?
Right. It really goes beyond just whether we would be allowed to pay punitive damages. It really is, the heart of the question is whether we would be allowed to pay a judgment in a case where punitives have been established. And in this case, where they've been established, even if by means of a settlement punitives were withdrawn, the facts of this case still completely cross over, at least in the opinion of the law department, the bright line test as to whether indemnification would be on the table. So in this particular case, again, if punitives were agreed by the parties to be waived, that still would not necessarily, and it would not change the outcome of whether we would indemnify them.
So you think the finding alone it crosses the line?
That's right. The specific finding of facts in this case would, I think, unquestionably cross the line and prohibit indemnification.
So you can't sever the two?
No.
The two awards? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Donahue.
I mean, had this case been settled prior to trial, it may have been a separate issue if the parties had come together. But once it went to a judgment, I mean, that's why I just think it should go back to the manager and the law department. I don't think that there's anything the council can do. I mean, it's controlled by law, so.
Okay, motion to refer this matter back by Councilor Donahue, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion is referred to the manager and law department for further action. So that will not appear on the agenda on June 13th. We have a second petition, a request for the abandonment of a parcel between 111 Quebec Street and 135 Quebec Street. This matter should also be referred to the Law Department. So moved by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is so referred. And we have Councilor Donahue.
There are people here on that. I just didn't know if they need to speak.
Oh, I'm
No.
sorry.
All set. Okay, all set.
Okay, no one to be heard on that petition? Okay, I think the petition was very clear and somewhat routine, so the matter's been referred and will come back to the council for approval at a later date. Okay. We have a third petition from Verizon for to place a conduit 62 feet in Jackson Street and 68 feet in Moulton Avenue. This matter is referred to a public hearing on June 13th. So moved by Councilor Broderick, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to a public hearing on June 13th. Under the motions, the first motion is by Councilor Elliott. The City Council requests the City Manager have the Division of Planning and Development partner with UMass Lowell Engineering Department to investigate possibility of reuse of the Lowell landfill for recreation purposes. Seconded by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had filed a motion a couple of months ago regarding a potential reuse of the landfill for a snowboard park, and the response came back from Mr. Walsh that there was still some methane coming out, and that was the end of the motion. So I'm not sure, and maybe the city doesn't, the engineers have their stuff, plenty of work to do, but we have a university, and I thought this was just a good opportunity to have the university with a renowned engineering department take a look at it. Communities across the Commonwealth, across the region, across the country are converting any landfill space. And again, maybe it cannot happen. Maybe this is, a landfill that is, distinct from many others. I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I'm not an engineer. So I thought, why not have, we have a resource right up the street, have them look at it, and maybe they can come up with some ideas for what we can use it for. Maybe we can just, maybe it's just a park that people can, walk around or walk their dogs or snowboarding or anything. What I do know is that it's just sitting there idle, and I do recall the report said there's a lot of DPW trucks that go in and out of there. But we have an engineering resource right up the street. I say we tap into it, and maybe he comes back saying, just leave it alone. There's too much methane coming out, or it'd be a public safety hazard, health hazard, et cetera. But I just thought it was, something to look at and have engineering students use their ideas and their education. So.
If I make, Mr. Mayor, right now that's under like tons of debris because much of the debris that we've taken from those homes have been taken up there. But we'll clearly get a hold of UMass and see if they can partner with us. I'm sure they'd be happy to do that.
While you did mention it, Mr. Manager, how much debris have we taken out? Maybe it'll come up under the next, under other motions on the flood. But I'm just curious.
TJ thinks it's in the vicinity of 40, 30-yard dumpsters. And it's been an unbelievable effort, but it's been a good one. And if you drive through there, you'll see how quickly that stuff is getting picked up. And it's out on the landfill now, so it's going to be a whole other issue we'll have to deal with.
I agree. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Next motion is by Councilor Elliott. The City Council requests the City Auditor report in the balance of the fund balance reserved for prior year encumbrances. Seconded by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know it was a little tongue twister, but Mr. Auditor, I know every year we're required by law. This motion is about trying to find money going into the next fiscal year, and I know we're required by law to close the books as of July 31st. And I was wondering, do you make an entry? We know that we're going to get bills subsequent to July 31st. Do you make an entry into encumbrance for prior year obligations from fund balance? And if you do, is there anything left from the prior year for this fiscal year? How much do you make the entry, and if so, how much is it?
We don't have no encumbrances at the end of the year because we closed out all the purchase orders.
So as of the 31st, you don't make any entries for any other bills that'll come in?
When I close it, if I close the books July 31st, any bills that come in after July 31st are bad bills.
Yep. Bad bills goes.
So if I close the book on July 31st,
Yeah.
as far as getting all the invoices in, and I close all the books and then start doing the work for the Schedule A and all that stuff that has to be done, then any bills that come in after that is bad bills, and we just can't pay, we don't pay them.
Okay. Well, I thought that some communities make an entry into prior year encumbrances from the fund balance, which inevitably, hopefully, there's money left over. For instance, if you think you're going to get $800,000 of bills and you put $1 million in, there's $200,000 left. And I was hoping that we would have some money, but that's not how you do it.
No.
Okay. That's the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Clerk's made a suggestion to me in the rest of the motions. that perhaps we take all the ones not related to the flood first,
Yes.
and then hear are the flood motions
right.
at the end. Is there any objection to that?
Nope.
No.
No.
Okay. So that, then we would take as the next motion, the motion by Councilor Ramirez. City Council requests the city manager have DPD explore ways of making the Middle Street, Palmer Street area more pedestrian-friendly during the summer months, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. Councilor Ramirez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that this is not a novel idea. I think it's been kicked around in the manager's office in the past, but I want to try to resurrect it. It's really in an effort to bring more folks downtown during the summer months, closing off some of these streets during strategic times, during the weekends from like Memorial Day to Labor Day, may make it more endearing to Lowell citizens, visitors, and young folks to come and visit the museums, the coffee shops, restaurants, and what retail we have available downtown. I just think this initiative will broadcast beyond the city limits to folks that come down and visit us. So I welcome any ideas and suggestions on the motion, but I'd like to get a report from DPD on some ideas about it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. Next motion by Councilor Rita Mercier. The City Council requests the city manager have the proper department install a berm at 26 Guild Street, seconded by Councilor Armin Mercier. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Seems to me that there are streets in the city that do not have sidewalks. Guild Street is one of those streets. Because of the fact that it does not have any sidewalks and they're not looking for it, they are requesting a berm due to the fact that the flooding and the contour of the street kind of invited all that water. And I know there was flooding all over, but sometimes we as a city can prevent a little bit like that. The berm would be to pitch or direct the water flow away from the person's basement. And I don't think it's an unusual request, but I did have the DPW there. I should say through you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Manager, we had the DPW there as well as Shannon Cohen and from wastewater, and they did say that the berm would help to some degree. So it's just a request to help out a family who had tragedy as it is, and I think that it would be great if we could have a berm there. Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? That motion's approved. Next motion by Councilor Armin Mercier. The City Council requests the city manager, the law department, draw the proper vote to name the corner of Crawford Street and East Meadow Road as the LaBelle Family Memorial.
Yeah.
Seconded by Councilor Rita Mercier. Councilor Armin Mercier.
Although the motion speaks for itself, this request did come from Mr. Ewan LaBelle to name that corner for the family, and there's a history of participation in the service that I'll elaborate more when he comes back in the form of an ordinance.
All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Next motion is by Councilor Milonazo. City Council requests the city manager report on how outstanding fines and taxes, if any, will be accounted for in the land takings in the Hamilton Canal District, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As we all know, there are some properties within the Hamilton Canal District that do have back taxes, and some are actually being, it's my understanding, some are being assessed fines to the Historic Board. So, again, the motion is to how the city will deal with those really upon closing, when we do our settlement statement, how those will be accounted for. So I'd like a report both from the manager and of the law department. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. The next motion is mine. Any objection to reading it from here?
Oh.
The motion is for the City Council request the city manager have traffic engineer investigate the feasibility of placing a 15-minute drop-off zone in front of Lowell High School, seconded by Councilor Elliott. The reason for this request is through parents, actually, at Lowell High School when they either have to pick up a sick child or go in and out for quick errands during the day. There really is no quick place to go in and out, and there's a lot of no parking zones around the high school. I'm sure there's a reason for that, but there may be a way to accommodate this request. It's mostly volunteers that are impacted, so I'd like to make it a little easier for them to get in and out of the high school if that's possible. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. And we have one unanswered motion by Councilor Elliott. The City Council requests the city manager address the dumpster issue throughout the city, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you. I know we discussed this in the past, Mr. Manager, but I continue to get complaints from businesses and from neighbors that abut condominium or apartment complexes, and one in particular I'm talking about now is on Varnum Ave. I'm not sure if there is a regular schedule that's included in the ordinance of, on a weekly basis, or it seems that if it's on an as-needed basis, and this particular apartment complex is run by a management company, and the neighbors try to work with the manager, but they just ignore it, and the dumpster continues to be overflow, and I don't know what the enforcement mechanism is of the dumpster ordinance, but it seems that time and time again, maybe the health department gets on top of it, but 2 or 3 weeks later, they're violating it again. So, is there a time frame in the ordinance that a regular time frame, meaning on a weekly basis, individuals or businesses have to empty their dumpsters?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, Council. I know we have about 1,500 dumpsters in the city, and
right.
Clearly, the health department, the building department try to do the best they can with them, but we'll get you a full update. I thought that we had made a report about, I know there was something about dumpsters in the downtown and times when they could be emptied and that type of thing, but we'll get you a full report. But clearly, it's a very, very large task.
I know it's a large task, and I know money is tight, but the complaints I get are that people are paid a $25 permit, and they're doing the right thing, and the person next door or down the street or elsewhere, they're just not in compliance with it. So I know it's not an easy answer, but it is an issue, and it was a good ordinance, and it is a good ordinance, but we just need to enforce it. And if we need some additional staff or they need to dedicate the time, then
did you have a specific address you can give us a look at?
Yes, I can. Yeah, it's Varnum Ave 88. Okay, I'll do it after. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed? That motion is approved. On these next, I think there's 6 of them. Why don't I read them all, and then we can have a general discussion. Does that make sense? So the first motion is by Councilor Elliott. City Council requests the city manager work with local banks to set up an account for flood victims, seconded by Councilor Caulfield. The next motion by Councilor Elliott. The City Council requests the city manager contact the LDFC, investigate possibilities of making available funding and financing opportunities for flood victims, seconded by Councilor Broderick. A motion by Councilor Caulfield. The City Council requests the city manager have the Army Corps of Engineers investigate and report on placing an additional levee on the Merrimack River, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Motion of mine. The City Council requests the city manager report on the number of residents displaced by the flood and whether or not those individuals have flood insurance, seconded by Councilor Milanazzo. Next motion is mine. The City Council requests the city manager report on whether there be any state and federal assistance funds available to the flood victims, seconded by Councilor Ramirez. And the final motion, the City Council requests the city manager report on necessary steps for developing a relief fund for flood victims, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try to address these, what I know of them as we go through them. First of all, I do know that some local banks have set up accounts, and I'm reluctant to name those banks, but I think that, clearly they will probably be advertising that, I would think, or getting the word out. But I do know that at least a couple of the local banks have already begun that process. As far as the LDFC, clearly we will contact them and ask them what, if anything, they can do as an organization. I'm sure that most of their member banks are probably included in these things already, but we'll clearly contact them and see see what else maybe they can possibly do. As far as the Army Corps of Engineers, again, we can speak to them. Clearly, we've been in touch with them over the last week or so. The levee, I think that referred to as the levee on Beaver Brook, and that levee is, I think, was constructed in 1941, or thereabouts. So we will contact them again and talk to them and see what plans they may have. TJ is passing out I believe, is that disaster assistance information, and he's also going to be passing out a list of, and this is probably only a partial list, there's a lot of addresses on it, but at least a partial list of the number of residents and their addresses who have been reported to the city that they've had damage to their homes or what have you. State and federal assistance. We talked to Senator Kerry's office late this afternoon. Why the federal government has not made a declaration of a disaster in the last 9 days is beyond me, but we've met with FEMA officials again today, and Senator Kerry's office called today and is hopeful that a declaration will be forthcoming from Washington. Nothing can, as was explained by the governor at a meeting on Sunday, and by FEMA representatives, nothing can happen of any real import until a declaration is made. So we're anxiously awaiting that. We've had FEMA and MEMA here at least 2 or 3 times in the last 3 or 4 days. They're going through their paperwork that will be faxed or delivered back to Boston and back to Washington. Apparently there are certain criteria that need to be met. We're told that in the state of Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, there must be, $7.1 million shown of property, public property damage. I have to think that in Lowell alone will be beyond that. But they are working on that, and until that declaration is made, then there's very little that we can do. And as far as developing relief funds, I know, I think I've talked to that about the banks. I think they've already done some of that. And I know that there is at least one fundraiser underway, and I'm sure there'll be information about that forthcoming this evening. So that's kind of a general sense of where we're at. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of specifics. I must say again, the city employees have been absolutely fabulous in their attention to this and their dedication to cleaning up the city and helping people who have been displaced. I know some of you have been to these areas, and it is hard to believe how much damage has been done to some of these areas. And when you walk through them and you see the people's homes are totally destroyed, it's gut-wrenching. But we're doing the best we can. People who have been affected have been very, very cooperative and very, very patient in this unbelievable time of need. And we will continue to do that. But I hope that, as far as general information, I think that's all we have at this point, unfortunately.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. You're absolutely correct in that the city employees have gone above and beyond, and the people who have been affected have really pulled together and are really starting to hopefully work together and come together as strong neighborhoods. So with that, I'll look to Councilor Broderick.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. An idea that I thought of as we're talking about this tonight is people are going to have to fill out claims. Some people are fortunate enough to have flood insurance, and the people that aren't with MEMA or FEMA. And I was wondering if maybe we could reach out to the Greater Lowell Bar Association and see if we could set up some type of pro bono assistance that it's going to be, I'm sure many of these people, I wouldn't know how to fill out the forms, could use some assistance, and if we could set up some type of, maybe at the senior center down the road where a couple nights a week or, a couple hours every night that we could set up for these people to come in and get some assistance filling out the proper forms and getting the paperwork, because the insurance companies are going to be inundated, and I think any excuse to kick it out for additional information, I think will be a delay, and I think it could be a great help and save people some time and some money also. Thank you.
If I may, as far as that point is concerned, on the consolidated disaster assistance information that TJ just passed out on page 4, there is a bold there for legal assistance pertaining to the Merrimack Valley Legal Services and their telephone number. So they have obviously been made aware of this, and it says, please make sure to let them know that you are a victim of the recent flooding disaster. If the Lowell Bar Association want to be involved with that, or do something similar to that, we could certainly list them on the website along with the Merrimack Valley Legal Services. So that's something that we'd be happy to do if they'd like to do that.
Yeah, maybe with the magnitude here, that they might need some additional assistance over at the
Right.
Merrimack Valley.
Council Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'll just briefly speak on my motion. The manager is 100% right that levee was built in 1941 after the horrendous flood in 1936. And on the other side of the Beaver Brook, there were no homes there. Many of those homes were moved when UMass Lowell expanded, and those homes were moved in harm's way. When the flood came, the dam was put in place, and those homes got flooded. And my contention is, if there's a levee on one side of Beaver Brook, then there also could be a levee on the other side as well. And that's what the people are asking for, crying for, whether we can put a levee on a Pawtucket Boulevard to save Townsend Avenue, Melrose Avenue, Bedford Avenue, all those avenues in that section of the city. Mr. Vice Mayor, that's the Army Corps of Engineers would have to make that decision. But if we can, there's an earthen dam at the end of Lafayette Street. That earthen dam held, but the earthen dam didn't extend down further, and the water just flowed into Lafayette Street and flooded that whole neighborhood. So I don't see why the Army Corps of Engineers come in, take a study, and see if we can install that levee. The manager indicated, before I do that, there's some unsung heroes, Mr. Vice Mayor, in that neighborhood. Mark D'Souza, who lives in Tingsboro, is an electrician who's been down there all week, every day, volunteering his services for the people. There's a plumber from Tingsboro, Bernie Denomini, also volunteering his skills and labor to help the people. And the two people that, the people on Elmer Street and Lafayette Street and New York Street, they would like to build a statue for, is Ron and Lenny Berube, who were flooded out, but yet went to every house and helped restore the electricity. I mean, absolutely amazing. The manager mentioned that there is a fundraiser, there's a committee formed. There will be a fundraiser to reach out and help the people. It will be held at the Lowell Lodge of Elks, Thursday, June 22nd, from 7 to 11. Thurman Print printed 1,000 tickets for us at no cost. The Continentals will be performing at no cost. The ticket prices are $25. And if people cannot make the function, they can make a donation to the Lowell Salvation Army, Lowell Flood Relief Fund, 150 Appleton Street, Lowell, Mass. 01852. The Salvation Army they've been there since day one. They fed the people chicken and potato salad last night. They're every single day. So the money that we raise, Mr. Vice Mayor, will be filtered through the Salvation Army. They will disperse the money to those people who need it the most. And thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And I guess I'll speak on my motions, but I think I'd like to basically address where the need remains. I do think the city has made heroic efforts here over the last 10 days, and I think people are very appreciative of that. I know the council is very appreciative of the efforts of city employees, but I was over this afternoon at some of the flood sites and talked to some of the residents, and they all came up to me and said, geez, we really can't thank the city of Lowell enough. The city workers have been terrific. The city's really stepped up its response. I know the area is improving. We've had not only the trash hauled away, I know there was street sweepers there today. The Salvation Army was there again tonight, serving dinner to folks, and people are starting to get back into their homes. But I think patience is going to start to run thin with these folks. I know they've been anxiously awaiting word from federal and state government. And until that's forthcoming, I know the city's hands are tied, but I think there are a few things we could do to try and help coordinate the relief effort. At this point, I think, you know, the primary need is going to be financial need. And I don't know if it's legal for us to start, you know, doing things like putting links to relief agencies on our website, but I think I've started to get calls, Mr. Manager, even from people that attended the World Curling event, remarking on they were treated well in Lowell and they'd like to start making contributions. Where's the best place to make a contribution? So if we could start to provide options to people on our website or on our community bulletin board on the local access channels as to people who are collecting relief agencies. I know most of the local banks are involved at this point, partnering up with various agencies, whether it be the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, Catholic Charities, Community Teamwork. I know they're all interested in helping, but there needs to be some coordination of their efforts, and I'm afraid we're not going to get it from the federal or state governments. It's going to fall to us. So anything we could do to coordinate that effort, I think would be greatly appreciated by the residents. I know they've been appreciative of efforts to date, and Councilor Caulfield's absolutely right about the people in those neighborhoods, the Berubis in particular, who have just gone above and beyond the call of duty. Residents are pulling together very well. It's actually kind of heartwarming to see, but the devastation in some of these homes is complete and total, and there are going to be needs for further financial assistance and volunteer relief efforts, and anything the city can do to coordinate that. I know it's been an awesome challenge with Mr. McCarthy's operation and just keeping track of who needs what, but I think that needs to continue, and anything we can do in that regard, I think, will be greatly appreciated by the residents.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. Councilor Elliott.
I think the mayor really recapped a lot of the concerns and items that I had filed my motions under. And what my concern is exactly what the mayor referred to is the coordinated effort. There's efforts with Salvation Army, Red Cross, a lot of funding opportunities. How does the individual, how does the homeowner find out what I can get from each agency? And I think that's where, for better or for worse, that there's going to be some frustration, and I think patience is going to run short. Is there one organization that can say, okay, there's money from ABCD Bank? How do the people know? How are we going to get that information? And I do want to commend you, TJ, for putting this 8 pages of assistance, and this is on the website, right? So is there some way that we can get these to the homeowners, or I know you don't want any more phone calls, but is there someone that they can call for people that don't have a computer?
All of the information that TJ has passed out is at the neighborhood assistance centers. It's also on the website, correct? And people have been, streaming in and out of there for the last 9 days.
And maybe some folks are in. I don't know if they have their computers or even electricity. But they can go to the neighborhood centers, and I'm sure they can call you or someone. You won't be there. So they can call the city manager's office if they don't have a computer, and they can get a copy mailed or something.
And many people have been, and we've been trying to get them. This is new to us too,
right?
And so we were trying to get everything coordinated. But many people have called us, and I think we've reached many people, and we will continue to.
I mean, for some of the calls that I've gotten, and it's really quite unfortunate, because whether you have flood insurance or you do not, it really covers very little. I mean, most individuals have a pretty high premium, and or no insurance at all, and it doesn't cover any belongings. It just covers structural damage, which is a good thing. But everything else in the meantime, whether it's food or clothing or personal belongings, it's not covered. And I think that's probably the most disheartening part for people that did have it, and certainly for those that did not. So they can get it on the website. There are local banks, like the mayor said. Is it possible for the banks to be listed?
I mean, we'd be happy to do that, but that would need to come from the banks. I don't think it'd be right for us to initiate that. If the banks and I know some of them that have begun these funds. If they want to get a hold of us and and let us know that they'd like to be listed on the website, we'd love to do that. But I don't think, I think it would be inappropriate for us to do that without initiation from the banks.
I agree, and as well as putting it on the local cable channel. I mean, I know there's been ad in the newspapers, but maybe some folks don't have the newspapers, or, somewhere where people can say, all right, I can send a check, because we've all heard, where can we send the money, and financial assistance is what they need. I just have a couple other questions, and is there a way that, this money that is being set aside can go to pay for insurance premiums for those that do have it?
Counsel, I don't know how that's going to work out logistically. I mean, clearly there's going to be pots of money available, and hopefully there'll be a lot of money available from different sources to try to help with these people. But how that gets straightened out, I have no idea.
Okay. I want to wrap up too, but I just want to say I took an opportunity to go down there, and it was actually early on Sunday morning, and I was very impressed with the number of people, i.e. the city workers who were out there on a Sunday morning after working all week, and now knowing tonight that they know that they're not going to get paid immediately. I think that says an awful lot about the city employees. It was Sunday morning, and every loader, every dump truck was out there, and it sort of brought a renewed spirit to, the sort of phases that people go through with any kind of catastrophe like this, and people were happy just to see, even if it was just the trash, go away, and I thought that was quite a feather in the caps of the people that were working that morning. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council Caulfield.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. At the meeting we had Sunday evening at the Lowell Diner, it was brought out that we could put a packet together and deliver it door to door, and Jerry Frechette, president of the Pawtucket Neighborhood Association, is going to get a litany of people Saturday, and they're going to deliver a packet, personally hand that to the people. And I know Jerry has talked to T.J. McCarthy about that project. I just want to expand. I think all my colleagues know and they realize that the city workers were outstanding, went above and beyond. I saw mechanics loading dumpsters, front-end loaders. I saw everyone working together, and the people were extremely impressed, extremely impressed. They cannot say enough about the city employees. The fire department, police department, health, everyone that was involved, DPW, absolutely outstanding. I'm proud of them, and I'm proud to say that they work for this city.
Thank you. Council Donahue.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, there are representatives from the Red Cross who came here tonight. In case anybody had questions, I just wanted to acknowledge their presence. They've been sitting patiently throughout the meeting, and if anyone had any questions, they've indicated they're happy to answer them.
Thank you for being here.
Mr. Vice.
Yes, Councilor Armin Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I want to reiterate very quickly what Councilor Caulfield has said about the employees of this city. And my son and his boys spent a couple of days there just ripping out the house that needed to have everything taken out. And they ran into absolutely no obstruction from the city employees. The dumpsters were there, the pickup trucks were there. They just emptied the house completely, and the city come by and picked everything up. There was no obstruction, no red tape. So, I mean, really, you can't commend the city employees and TJ and that whole crew enough. The thing that's important tonight, I think, and it's very important, is what do we do now? Where do we go? What kind of help is there? And so the document that you distributed that is now available at those centers, I think it's very important for anyone who's listening and watching to go to those centers, because what you need to know is on that document. What you need to know if you need housing, if you need assistance, if you need anything at all is on that document. So it's important for that message to get out, to go to the centers, and you will find what's available to you and where you can go to get it right away, because right away is the problem. The insurance is going to take 60 days. There are deductibles involved. There are all sorts of restrictions. It's only the structure, and it's not this. But right in that document that was distributed tonight, that they sent is will answer all of the questions, or at least most of the questions, that the people who are affected need to have answered. And I think that's important that that message gets out. I would hope that the media gets that out. Go to that center, go to those places, and you will get the information you need on where do you go next, because people are taking it into their own hands because they recognize the bureaucracy of the federal government, and particularly the state government at this level. They need assistance, and they need it now. And I just want to commend every volunteer that was down that Rosemont Terrace, on Magnolia Street, on Dunbar Street. People were just on their own, contractors, going out there and say, you know, we don't have time to wait for any money or any contracts. Let's do the job that needs to be done. And so that center is very important. And I hope that that continues to be man-sufficient enough, because, you know, people still have a lot of questions.
Thank you. Mayor Martin.
Yeah, not to be redundant, but on the importance of the centers, I don't know who's, I knew that was the City of Lowell's idea, Mr. Manager. I don't know if it was yours or somebody on your team, but I got to tell you,
It was TJ's idea.
the state was calling us. So tell us more about these centers. They're now trying to replicate them in other parts of the state that were affected by the flood. It was a new concept to them. It was something that TJ came up with. We have inspectors there on site that can go in and inspect homes, so people aren't traipsing back and forth to City Hall. It's not a perfect solution, but it certainly makes it much easier than it otherwise could be. And it's become a model now for MEMA calling Lowell, trying to figure out how we're running these centers, because they want to do it somewhere else. So that's one thing that Lowell has done to be innovative and improve this situation, and I'm sure we'll have other innovations along the way. So I just thought people should know that's...
If I may, Mr. Mayor, you're absolutely right. That was a very unique idea. It was one that was actually copied last week by some other cities along the river. And actually, MEMA has contacted us, and at some point, their thought is to open a center like that for state services. And we've contacted the university, and the university, I think, we're going to be able to have it over there. So MEMA's actually, in a bigger scope, copying our neighborhood centers and doing that in various cities. So I think that's very, very important to note. And you know, hopefully MEMA will be on board soon.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Council Caulfield.
Just one last comment, Mr. Vice Mayor. There will be a meeting Thursday night at the Owl Diner at 7 o'clock. It's time for this council to come together to work for one common cause. There's many people on this committee: Senator Panagiotakis, Tom Golden, John Chimley, Jerry Frechette, countless people. And the money raised will go to those people who would need it the most, and the Salvation Army will disperse it. So everyone is welcome. I have told the school committee the same. If you want to come down Thursday night, 7 o'clock, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Caulfield. If I could just comment before we take a vote on the six motions. As most of you know, I have the good fortune to serve as president of the LDFC, and in response to Councilor Elliott's motion, we'd be happy to coordinate a meeting with the executive committee of the LDFC to see what role we could play in all of this relief efforts. So again, I'll bring that back to the executive committee of the LDFC and report back to the council. So with that being said, entertain a motion to approve the motions as presented. Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Vote. Anything else to come before the body? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.